This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is Sean Ulmer, Executive Director of the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art. Nice to have you here, Sean.
Great to be here.
Season is going on. There's so many things to talk about.
Yes.
And you've got a landmark season coming up next year that we are talking about now because of all the big stuff that's going on. But let's start with the exhibits that are going on right now, because in October you've got kind of a spooky theme going on.
Yeah. We just opened two shows that are related to each other. One is called Haunted, Marvin Cone's Ghosts, which look at this very interesting subset of his career that began in 1938, but he was revisiting throughout the rest of his life until his death in the mid-60s.
And these are the, I kind of call them the spooky staircase.
Yes. They're the darkened interiors, the stairs, the doors, the weird windows, and sometimes there's a ghost in them. Sometimes there's a portrait of a kind of Victorian portrait, a portrait of somebody who's long since been gone, and sometimes they're just spooky interiors. And it's an interesting way to sort of explore the idea that all the spaces that we inhabit, somebody has inhabited before. And there's a residue of them.
And what a big change for Marvin Cone, who we usually think of his beautiful cloud pictures.
Yes,
and
his clouds and his barns and maybe some of his circus imagery. But yeah, this was
and then these really creepy staircases.
Very different move. And it was something that he took a year sabbatical from Co. Before there were sabbaticals. So a group of businessmen in Cedar Rapids paid for his salary for the year and told him to go off and paint. And then at the end of the year, sell his paintings, pay them back, and keep whatever was left. And so he went down, he got a space in the Granby building. He went down, he started painting.
He went down in the basement and started painting spooky stuff.
But I tell you, the businessmen came by and checked on him, and they were so frightened by what they saw that they would not get their money back, that they sent him to Mexico. And when he was in Mexico with his wife and daughter, he met Diego and Frida, who had a very open-door policy with their studio, Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. And he painted some lovely Mexican pictures too, but the powerful pictures were these interiors. And he came back, sold everything, paid the guys back, had enough money that we equated to I think 2.5 years of salary. So, salary was very low at that time, but yeah, it was a really good experience for him. And he was just really captured by this imagery, and he stayed with it throughout the rest of his career.
Yeah, what do we know about how if he first got that idea?
We don't know. We don't know. It just sort of struck and came out of the blue in this year of the sabbatical. It may have been something that he saw in that building, or I've also heard from some people that it kind of reminded them of the old arts building on College campus, which is no longer there. It's now the Dow's building is now where the old fine arts area was. And that was an older, more historical kind of Victorian type of building from what I understand. And that might have inspired him too. But he was very interested in the intersecting planes of stairs and doors and doorways and windows that eventually leads him to abstraction. He distills and distills and distills until he ends up having just a series of overlapping planes. And so it's a really fascinating development for him in his career, and moves him past the barns and the cloudscapes and the circus imagery and the regular landscapes as well.
How many of these pieces are in this exhibit?
Just under 40. So we borrowed 2 pieces from College, but the rest we drew from our own collection. And so we have a combination of paintings and a wonderfully remarkable and revealing series of drawings, which we don't get out much because they are more fragile and they cannot be exposed to light for long periods of time. So it's nice to get all of these. You can see him working his way out, working his way through these images, sometimes with ghosts, sometimes without ghosts, but always sort of really interested in these interiors and what these interiors lead him to.
I like how you said a few minutes ago about how the other thing that this teaches us is every space we've ever been in has been inhabited by somebody else.
Absolutely. Unless you move into a place that's brand new, right? And we all have had that experience probably too. But in most cases, we occupy a space that's been occupied before. If not in our own home, then certainly in the place where we work.
And the companion exhibit is of a similar theme.
Exactly. It's called Up All Night, The Art of the Dark. And we culled through our collection and drew together about 60 works of art that look at how artists have approached representing the night. This can be cityscapes, rural images, activities that people do in the night, entertainment, and even eerie and spooky representations. And so we have a wide variety covering several hundred years actually, of art making. It's a new challenge for an artist to do a nighttime scene, and nighttime scenes add a lot of drama typically to a composition. And so it was interesting to see how different artists approach representing the night or the dark in their work.
Is this a traveling exhibit? Is it drawn from the museum's
No,
collection?
it's drawn from our own collection in both cases, except that we did borrow a couple pieces from Co. for the Marvin Cone show. But the others are all drawn from our own collection. We have a collection of 7,800 pieces, and unlike a lot of other museums, we're like, why have these pieces if you're not going to show them? So we find opportunities, thematic opportunities, to draw things out of the collection so that we can share them with our wider audience.
Talking with Sean Ulmer from the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art, talking about what's up right now, but you're working hard to keep the current exhibits going, but I know that you're thinking a lot about next season.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we, like the theater companies and like musical companies, we have the
You're
same
always
sort
planning
of,
ahead.
Yeah,
we
have that fall to spring season. Now it's even creeping into summer for a lot of organizations, and so we do the same thing. We're actually completely filled out through the end of 2021 at this point with our exhibition schedules, because a lot of these exhibitions take time and planning. And next year in particular, 2020 was a very, very important year for us because we turn 125. We were originated in 1895 as a modest little art club here in Cedar Rapids that had been gathered together by a group of individuals who had gone to the 1893 World's Fair. And so in 1895, they formed an art club. There was no building. They met in people's homes, kind of like a book club might, for example. And we didn't have a home until 1905 when the Carnegie Library opened, and we had a space on the second floor. And at that point, we had the Cedar Rapids Art Association. Eventually, of course, we became the Art Center and then the Museum of Art. But we wanted to really celebrate the 125 years that we've been in existence in this community in a very big way. So in 2020, all of our shows are big. Our normal temporary show is 3 galleries. All of our shows, big temporary shows, will be 5 galleries. And so we're really pulling out the stops, and we're kicking off the year with an exhibition on Impressionism, which was the prevailing style in 1895 when we were founded. And so it's going to look at French and American Impressionism, and that is a completely borrowed show. Those are pieces that are coming from outside. We'll be able to have 3 Degas in the building. We will have Cassattes. We will, and with those artists, we will also have American Impressionists, because French Impressionism migrated over to America. Many American artists went to Europe to study, and
like Grant Wood, and Marvin Cone
exactly.
went and studied, and some of their early work is very influenced by Impressionism.
Totally true. And Impressionism in the United States lasted longer than it did in Europe, because Europe, it was sort of replaced with modernism, with the Picassos and the Matisses. And but we're very excited to kind of show the difference between American and French Impressionism. It's not the same thing, but it's a big show, a lot of big works, a lot of big names, a lot of big frames, a lot of work. But it's a great way to kick off the year. And as a companion exhibition, we are doing an exhibition on French art of the late 19th and 20th centuries, drawn from a private collection here in town. Oh. So you'll have Monet, and you'll have Vlaminck, and you'll have Cassatt and Picasso and Braque, and so a whole host of French artists that'll kind of show where Impressionism goes with the French. And so it takes you beyond just Impressionism with that companion exhibition. So we're very excited about that. And then rounding out our season, but not the 2020 year, is 125 masterpieces from the collection. So we're going to dig down, having borrowed the Impressionism show from outside, we're going to dig down into our own collection and bring out many of our masterworks, 125 of them, to kind of coincide with our 125th anniversary. And we're going to do a solo show of the work of a local artist, Mary Zarin. Because presenting local art is something that we're known for. It's something that we do, and it's something that we want to celebrate in our anniversary year as well. And just as I might say, if we finish out 2020, we're going to do a big new look at Grant Wood, because he's also part of who we are. And the Whitney just did a big show about a year or so ago, and they did all of the heavy hitters.
They
all
did
of
the big stuff.
Yeah,
I
the
get it.
stuff that you would all know.
I
right?
gotta go and see it, and
Yep,
it
yep.
was and it was great fun to see all the big stuff
Yeah,
in
all
one
that
room.
All the big guns are there. But he was much more complex artist than just the pieces for which he's most famous. There was a lot that led up to those pieces and a lot of different work. He worked in metal work. He did drawings. We're going to show the other work. The lesser known is going to be called Grantwood Revealed, in which we show the other pieces that were not included in that show, and some that were, but that were not included in that show. So that we give a much fuller and much more complete picture of who he is. And as our companion show for that, we're going to do a small show of American Gothic parodies.
Oh,
At the same time, we don't own American Gothic, alas. However, we can do a nice show of the parodies. So that kind of rounds out our 2020 year, and we're very, very excited. We've been working on this year for the last 4 or 5 years, mostly trying to land that big signature landmark show, which is our Impressionism show.
and in the more immediate future, I know you've got a big party coming up.
Yep.
Your gala.
Yeah, we
is
have our gala
coming up here before
Yeah.
we even know it.
Yeah, November 1st. That's our sole fundraiser of the year. And it's very important to us. It constitutes a full 10% of our annual budget. So it's very, very important to us. It's on November 1st at the Cedar Rapids Country Club. And more information, of course, can be found on our website. But we only do one fundraiser a year. We just decided it was easier for the community and certainly easier for us than to be constantly doing smaller fundraisers, which had been the model before. We just do one and done. And it's worked out very well. The gala is in its 4th year now. And the odd thing about the gala is that it's actually fun. Not necessarily fun to put on, but fun to be at. It's a party. Our goal was to put fun back into fundraiser, and it actually has worked out. It's a very diverse audience. All different kinds of ages attend, and everyone's having a good time, which is really the takeaway we want.
So the fundraiser, the gala is coming up November 1st. The 2 exhibits, the Marvin Cone and the Up All Night, are going on now. So even as we get excited about 2020 and all the big stuff you're bringing in for the 125th, don't wait.
Right.
Don't wait.
No.
Come see. Come see this.
now.
Yeah. Come see this cool stuff now.
Yeah. And we're constantly changing. We've got a change going on right now, and then we're going to move on and change the Lazansky's out, and then we're going to change some of our lower galleries, all in anticipation of creating that space that we're going to need for our big show in 2020.
What are the museum hours?
They're generally speaking 12 to 4, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Then it's 12 to 8 on Thursday, which is our late night. And we're 10 to 4 on Saturday. But you can find all of that on our website,
Which is?
www.crma.org.
Sean Ulmer from the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art. Sean, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Again, crma.org if you'd like more information on any of the fun stuff that we've talked about. You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most Thursdays and Fridays at 10:20, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or on your favorite podcast app. I'm Dennis Green.